Most people think power comes from being seen, heard, and understood. That belief is exactly what keeps them exposed, predictable, and easy to control. In the modern world, the most dangerous mistake you can make is assuming transparency earns respect. It doesn't. It invites interference. Today, we're exposing Law 3 of the 48 Laws of Power: Conceal Your Intentions, not as philosophy, but as survival strategy. This isn't about manipulation or deception. This is about understanding how people actually behave when they sense advantage slipping from their hands. If you've ever wondered why being honest backfired, why ambition triggered resistance, or why revealing your plans made things harder instead of easier, this is the truth most people learn too late. Stay with this until the end, because once you see how power really moves, you won't be able to unsee it. You tell people your plans because you think honesty builds trust, but what actually happens is that the moment your intention leaves your mouth, it stops being yours. In a family setting, this shows up when a parent announces future decisions too early. You tell your children what you plan to change, what discipline is coming, or what expectations will shift, and suddenly resistance forms before action ever does. Arguments begin not because the decision is wrong, but because people feel invited to negotiate power that was never meant to be shared. Machiavelli, living in this world, would never explain the destination before the movement. He would quietly adjust behavior, enforce structure through consistency, and allow results to speak before explanation. He would understand that when people sense direction too early, they attempt to steer it. Authority weakens not through cruelty, but through overexposure. In school environments, this law becomes painfully obvious. A student who openly declares their ambition, intelligence, or future plans becomes a target long before they succeed. Teachers unconsciously raise the bar, peers quietly resent the confidence, and expectations become traps rather than opportunities. Machiavelli would move differently. He would downplay intention while sharpening ability, allowing others to underestimate him while he quietly outpaces them. He would understand that performance is safest when it surprises, not when it announces itself. The modern classroom rewards those who reveal just enough competence to advance without provoking comparison, envy, or silent resistance. In the workplace, concealment becomes survival. The employee who openly shares career goals, leadership aspirations, or dissatisfaction often believes transparency will earn respect. Instead, it triggers caution. Managers start withholding opportunities. Colleagues begin subtle competition. Your intentions become variables others try to manage. Machiavelli would never reveal ambition before leverage. He would work diligently, appear cooperative, and let results quietly reposition him. He would know that power does not come from being seen trying to rise, but from being recognized as already necessary when the moment arrives. In relationships, people confuse openness with intimacy. When one partner reveals every thought, every fear, every emotional shift, the dynamic tilts. Predictability replaces intrigue, and influence dissolves into emotional negotiation. Machiavelli would not advocate emotional distance, but emotional discipline. He would understand that attraction survives mystery and stability, not full transparency. When everything is revealed, there is nothing left to respect. Power in relationships lives in emotional steadiness, not constant confession. In business deals, this law becomes lethal when ignored. Revealing your limits, urgency, or true motivations hands leverage to the other side. The moment they know what you need, they control the pace. Machiavelli would listen more than he spoke, reveal less than he knew, and let the other party expose their position first. He would understand that silence is not emptiness, it is pressure. The one who speaks less shapes the terms, what most people fail to realize is that intentions don't die because they're wrong, they die because they're exposed too early. Power isn't about deception, it's about timing. Machiavelli would move through the modern world quietly, letting people underestimate his depth while he observes their weaknesses. And the unsettling truth is this: the people who control outcomes are rarely the loudest or the most expressive. They are the ones you never fully understand until it's too late to stop them. You tell people your plans because you think honesty builds trust, but what actually happens is that the moment your intention leaves your mouth, it stops being yours. In a family setting, this shows up when a parent announces future decisions too early. You tell your children what changes are coming, what discipline will look like, or how life is about to shift, and suddenly resistance forms before anything even happens. Arguments appear not because the decision is wrong, but because authority was exposed before it was enforced. Machiavelli, living today, would never explain the destination before the movement. He would change behavior first and allow understanding to follow. He knew that once people sense direction, they instinctively try to control it. Authority weakens not through cruelty, but through overexposure. In school, this law quietly decides who rises and who gets quietly stalled. A student who openly talks about ambition, intelligence, or long-term goals becomes visible in the wrong way. Teachers raise expectations, peers grow resentful, and suddenly performance is judged more harshly. Machiavelli would never reveal his intent to excel. He would let others underestimate him while he mastered the system quietly. He understood that success announced too early invites resistance before it earns respect. The safest progress is the kind no one notices until it's irreversible. In the workplace, concealment becomes survival. The employee who openly shares career ambitions or dissatisfaction believes transparency will earn trust. But instead it activates fear. Managers begin controlling opportunities. Colleagues adjust their behavior to protect their own position. Machiavelli would never expose ambition without leverage. He would deliver results silently, allowing necessity to speak louder than intention. He understood that power is granted not to those who want it, but to those who become indispensable without asking. History reveals why this works. Machiavelli watched figures rise and fall because they revealed themselves too early. Cesare Borgia, whom Machiavelli closely observed, did not declare his intentions openly. He allowed others to believe they understood him while quietly positioning himself above them. His strength came not from deception alone, but from patience. Those who spoke too much revealed their fears and ambitions and were destroyed by them. Machiavelli learned that power favors those who let others misread them until it's too late to react. In modern family dynamics, Machiavelli would recognize how easily intention becomes emotional leverage. When parents announce plans too early, discipline changes, financial shifts, new expectations, children don't process authority, they prepare resistance. They test boundaries before those boundaries even exist. Machiavelli would never negotiate authority in advance. He would allow behavior to adjust first, then clarify expectations after stability is restored. He would understand that leadership inside the home collapses the moment it becomes reactive. Authority must feel inevitable, not debated. When children sense certainty, they adapt. When they sense hesitation, they push. In education, Machiavelli would see how ambition exposes students before they're ready to defend it. A child who announces intelligence, talent, or future plans becomes a silent target. Teachers unconsciously raise pressure, peers quietly compare, and suddenly effort is punished with scrutiny. Machiavelli would move unnoticed, allowing results to appear naturally. He would understand that true advantage comes when others realize your competence only after it's already undeniable. Attention gained too early becomes weight, not wings. In the workplace, Machiavelli would treat intention as currency that must be spent sparingly. He would never reveal dissatisfaction, ambition, or long-term plans until leverage was secured. He would observe who hoards influence, who fears replacement, and who protects their position emotionally. Instead of challenging authority, he would become useful to it. Instead of asking for advancement, he would make his absence costly. Power, in modern organizations, belongs to those whose value is felt before it is spoken. In business deals, Machiavelli would treat silence as leverage. He would never rush to fill space, justify his position, or reveal urgency. He would let others speak themselves into exposure. Every pause would apply pressure. Every unanswered question would shift control. He would understand that in modern negotiations, the one who reveals less dictates the tempo, and the one who dictates tempo shapes outcomes. On social media, Machiavelli would be almost invisible until influence was unavoidable. He would never document growth in real time or narrate transformation while it's happening. He would let others perform vulnerability while he built quietly. When he finally appeared, it would feel sudden, complete, and undeniable. He would understand that attention given too early invites interference, and interference kills momentum. The deeper truth is this: people don't destroy your plans out of malice, they do it because your openness invites their fear, envy, or self-preservation. Machiavelli would know that most damage is accidental, not evil. That's why concealment isn't deception, it's protection. Power survives through timing, not noise, and once you understand this, you begin to move differently. You speak less. You reveal slower. You act when others are still talking. The most dangerous person in any room isn't the loudest or the most confident, it's the one whose intentions remain invisible until the outcome is already decided. One of the most difficult modern situations where Machiavelli would apply Law 3 is when a parent realizes their child is being quietly judged, underestimated, or psychologically boxed in by a school system that smiles politely while limiting growth. In this moment, most parents panic and confront teachers, administrators, or other parents directly, believing that honesty and advocacy will protect their child. Machiavelli would do the opposite. He would observe first. He would watch how authority moves, who controls decisions, who reacts emotionally, and who hides behind procedure. He would never reveal concern too early, because once authority senses threat or challenge, the child becomes the pressure point. He would adjust behavior subtly, strengthen the child privately, and allow results to force recognition rather than demand it. His silence would not be weakness, it would be strategy. In family conflict, especially among relatives where history and emotion are deeply entangled, Machiavelli would act with extreme restraint. When tension rises over money, inheritance, caregiving, or responsibility, people reveal who they really are. Most rush to defend themselves, over-explain intentions, or expose emotional wounds in an attempt to be understood. Machiavelli would do none of this. He would speak less as others reveal more. He would observe who feels entitled, who feels threatened, and who is quietly positioning themselves. He would understand that in family conflict, words are often used as weapons disguised as honesty. Silence, when controlled, becomes armor. In workplaces where layoffs, promotions, or restructures loom, Machiavelli would move like a shadow. While others broadcast stress, frustration, or loyalty, he would stabilize his presence. He would avoid appearing desperate or overly ambitious. He would let leadership notice his reliability without being reminded of it. He would quietly expand his usefulness while reducing his visibility as a threat. In modern corporate life, those who speak too much reveal fear. Those who remain composed become anchors. Machiavelli would know that when uncertainty rises, power gravitates toward those who appear unshakable. In romantic relationships during moments of imbalance, when one partner begins pulling away or gaining leverage, Machiavelli would never chase clarity through confrontation. He would understand that emotional pressure accelerates distance. Instead, he would stabilize himself first, restore independence, and allow absence to create awareness. He would not explain his value, he would embody it. In modern relationships, emotional restraint is often misread as indifference, but Machiavelli would know it actually restores gravity. People move toward what feels grounded, not what begs to be understood. In business negotiations involving high stakes, investments, partnerships, acquisitions, Machiavelli would be painfully patient. He would allow others to reveal urgency through over-explaining or over-promising. He would never rush to correct misunderstandings that worked in his favor. Silence would become leverage. Every pause would force the other party to fill the gap with information. In modern business, the one who talks least often walks away with the most. Machiavelli would master this without ever appearing manipulative. The most difficult scenario of all is when someone you trust begins quietly working against you while maintaining emotional closeness. This is where most people fail. They confront too early, accuse without proof, or expose awareness before control is established. Machiavelli would not react emotionally. He would gather clarity through distance, observe patterns, and let the other person reveal themselves fully. He would allow the illusion of safety to continue until the truth became undeniable. Only then would he act, not out of anger, but precision. This is the moment where silence becomes protection rather than avoidance. In modern social environments, especially online, Machiavelli would understand that visibility creates vulnerability. He would never announce transformation while undergoing it. He would never narrate healing, ambition, or reinvention in real time. Instead, he would disappear quietly and return changed. The shock of transformation holds more power than constant explanation ever could. People cannot interfere with what they cannot track, and here is the hardest truth most people never accept: the more emotionally honest you are with everyone, the less control you have over your life. Not because honesty is wrong, but because most people are not equipped to hold power responsibly. Machiavelli would not hide forever. He would reveal himself only when resistance no longer mattered. And once you understand this, you stop fearing silence. You stop rushing to explain yourself. You stop announcing who you are becoming. Because real power doesn't ask permission to arrive, it simply does. If this made you uncomfortable, that's because it touched something real. Power does not reward honesty, it rewards awareness. The people who rise aren't louder, smarter, or more moral, they're simply harder to read. They understand when to speak, when to stay silent, and when letting others underestimate them becomes the greatest advantage of all. If this changed how you see your family, your workplace, your relationships, or your ambitions, then you're already ahead of most people. Share this with someone who's still playing fair in an unfair system. Like the video so this message reaches those who need it but don't know why yet. And subscribe, because this series isn't about motivation, it's about seeing the world as it truly operates. Once you see it, you don't go back.